The big thing was that we set out to avoid winter, and we've unfortunately or fortunately landed in Argentina, of course, at the beginning of winter, which actually turned out not to be so bad. It's probably about 15, 16 degrees Celsius here. And so we've got light jackets, light sweaters, and we've been fine. But it has hampered a little bit. We probably would have been outdoors more, or we probably would have strolled longer. And I've already decided that I've got to come back to Argentina when it's a little bit warmer. But what has been great are people, like warm, welcoming, from the youngest to the oldest. You know, one of the photo that's in Metro this week is all about my sons playing soccer in Plaza San Martin in the middle of Buenos Aires, and it literally was two Spanish-speaking boys saw them, came over, you know, sort of pushed the ball towards them and gestured until they figured out that they wanted to play. And I loved it. I mean, people stopped and were watching them, and eventually parents came over to ask to find out, you know, who we were and where we were from, and it just to me was a symbol of exactly what we wanted for them out of this trip.
That's amazing. Now, how did you converse, and what language?
I can do a little bit of Spanish. It is not pretty. It's only slightly prettier than my French, but I find knowing French helps me understand Spanish. So I've been the main speaker here. My husband speaks no Spanish, no French. It's horrible. And the kids speak French, but have a little trouble with the Spanish. So it has been mainly me sort of telling the taxi driver where we want to go, or ordering in a restaurant. And it really, you know, one of the things my husband and I talked about is it really gives you a feel for what it is like for people who come to Canada. And, you know, we sort of have this expectation that we're all speaking English, and that's just not the case. And even when you go abroad, the expectation so many times is, well, I'll just try them in English, or I'll speak louder in English, and maybe that will help. And I really sort of respect the fact that they speak Spanish here and they speak Spanish here. And if you want to speak to me, you're going to have to figure out how to converse with me in Spanish. And so we've been doing our best. And so far we've eaten and we've slept. So I think we're doing okay.
Well, and you know, that's an excellent point, because it makes you appreciate that what a struggle it is for people that don't speak either of the two official languages, right? And sort of us being patient with them. Which sometimes, sometimes it's very easy to be impatient. What else is on the agenda when you're in Argentina? Because I know when we last spoke, you talked about potentially learning how to tango.
My husband chickened out.
Oh!
We went down to, it was San Telmo, which is gorgeous. It's like cobblestone streets and very European in a way, but singers on the sidewalk singing beautiful, you know, Argentinian songs and playing the guitar. And of course, we bumped into some couples doing tango in the square, and they were offering to teach us. And I said to Ashley, you know, let's go. It's a little harder with the kids because, you know, someone's always watching the kids and what have you, but I don't know if I'm going to learn on this trip. Another thing that happened was we met a family in Florida in January. They just happened to sit down at a table we were at when we were visiting Disney. Turned out they were from Buenos Aires, and my husband, being my husband, struck up a conversation with them, ended up being friends with the gentleman on Facebook. And when he said we were coming here, you know, they were determined that they were going to show us around. So we spent 2 days with a local family, taking us around to some of the markets, and we spent the game. We watched the game at their house.
Oh, nice.
And then they did an official Argentinian barbecue for us, an asado in the backyard. That was just fabulous. And so we've had some great experiences that we couldn't have planned for. And I think we're just taking those and not so much focusing on the fact that, you know, well, we set out to tango. If we don't tango, is it a failure? I don't think so. Not if we get all these things we didn't expect as well.
Definitely. What has struck you about life in Argentina, just overall, being a North American?
They eat better. They walk more. They eat more. That barbecue yesterday had about 6 or 7 courses.
Oh my goodness.
And all of them, except for the very first sort of appetizer type stuff we had, were meat.
Wow.
They go tip to tail on the animal, and it's lovingly done and it's lovingly enjoyed. And we went through wine and sparkling wine, and the kids were, who are now addicted to Fanta,
Yeah.
had their share of that. And they just take things slow, which is really great. I think a really great way to live life. They're not as rushed to get through the meal to get on to something else. The meal is the something else. And really loving to each other too, which was nice to see.
Yeah, and also the passion that you described too. They're very passionate people. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Watching a soccer game with this family is incredible, right? Like we watch TV, there's the odd, cheer maybe if something great happens, but watching Argentinians enjoy their soccer, and even in traffic jams getting to the house, people would roll down their window and, Uruguay, Paraguay, the whole city was caught up in this. I mean, I've written a lot of stories about, how to survive jet lag with your kids, and, how to keep things, keep your kids happy while you're traveling and that sort of thing. And I've had to implement nothing. The great thing is particularly with this last bit, which was really the biggest jet lag experience, they slept. And, we broke all the rules. You're supposed to not sleep until it's nighttime in your destination and what have you. We got in at 4:30 that morning to Argentina, and we hit the sack. Yeah, we were not waiting until that night. And they did fine. Yeah. They've been absolutely fine. If anything, Ish and I have been more tired. And we've sort of been following our body clock in terms of, let's go to bed. But last night's a great example. We were out at this game, we were having the dinner, we were at somebody's house, and we were there until about midnight. Wow. We had no choice but to, they were with us and they were fine. They slept in a little bit this morning, but, they woke up asking to go to a pool. So
oh my goodness.
They're not tired.
Wow. What's up next? Sorry, go ahead, Heather.
Oh, I was just going to say, even now, I was saying I've put them down and said, please go have a nap. And I can hear the Spanish on the TV in the room. So
that's awesome.
There's no...
Well, then you'll have help when you're going out to order next or whatever, right? They need to learn the language. What's up next for you guys?
So we are now at the point where we're deciding what we want to do next. I think we're in Argentina, and I think we'll be here for at least 3 or 4 more days. So we're now at the point of our trip where we're planning the next stage of travel, and that will probably take us to Quito in Ecuador, where we're planning to be in Quito for probably about a week, and then head over to the Galapagos Islands for about a week before going on to Colombia. So we're just sort of today and tomorrow are sort of planning days to figure out what we want to do next. And I've had some great recommendations on Facebook and Twitter and my website and what have you from people who just love Buenos Aires. So we've still got quite a few things to do here. We're going to go down to La Boca, and I've heard some good things about some helado down there, and it's going to be good. So some ice cream. See? Spanish?
Yeah, I was going to say. Translation, please?
Some ice
I was going to say, if you're off to Ecuador, then you certainly have managed to bypass winter, because you're right almost near the equator at that point. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. So we're looking forward to that.
Yes, for sure. Now, tell me, any parenting tip that you can share with us from your travels of this past week?
Yeah, just take some cues from your kids. I'm trying to be better at this. We were on the plane, and for the first time, normally we book tickets on a plane. Maybe there's 3 of us and 1, or 2 and 2, or what have you. For the first time, we allowed the 2 kids to sit together. I was on an aisle seat across from them, and Ish was on an aisle seat behind them. Mm-hmm. But it was the 2 kids and a stranger. And it gave me an opportunity. It's not something I would normally have booked on purpose, but it gave me an opportunity to watch them interact without me hovering as much as I might usually do. Mm-hmm. And it was eye-opening. They struck up a relationship with this woman. Her name is Beatrice. I know this because at the end of the flight, Beatrice came over, handed me her name, her phone number, her email, her Hotmail, her address in Uruguay, and said that those boys are welcome there anytime. Oh.